Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirit. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. Thank you for tuning in once more. And in this week's episode, we're going to be looking and discussing the topic of your light introduces you. Also in this week's episode, we have the channeling from the world of spirit, which sees myself becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their wisdoms and communications through. And then later on in this episode, we have the forecast reading for this week ahead. So let's crack on. As I say, we're discussing the topic, your light introduces you. What am I talking about by saying that statement? I'm talking about your vibration, your energy, your aura, your essence. It introduces you before you even open your mouth and speak and communicate. Even before your physicality, your body language starts to display and is picked up on. Your energy introduces you. Now, with this being the case, I want to encourage you all to maintain your magic. Now, what I mean by that is keeping your energy as pure and authentic as possible to yourself, rather than emulating anybody else or replicating anything or anyone, and just keep yourself pure and authentic. Now, in order to do this, there are various steps that we need to maybe observe and make note of. And you've probably heard me talk about this many times before, but I feel as though it is very important to keep banging this drum, so to speak. And I'm talking about diet when I say this. And first of all, I'm not just talking about food and drink, although that does play a factor in your vibration, in your light. So I'm talking about, yes, the food that you consume, the drink that you consume, and what sort of processes that has gone through can also have an impact on your light body, your vibration. And if you imagine where those foods and drinks have come from, all of those journeys that they've been on to get to you so that you, the consumer, can consume it. Each one of those steps contains a vibration and energy, and the people that have been involved in processing that and bringing that to you pass on a bit of their energy. So all of that adds up, doesn't it? So, just be mindful of the food and drink that you consume on an energetic level, but also obviously with the ingredients and everything else as well, because you're wanting to maintain your vibration with doing this. Another thing with diet, we have also TV and media. Media can be online content, even magazines as well, newspapers. All of those things can have an impact on your light body, your vibration, depending on whether or not you're absorbing that energetic information, you're embodying it, or you're simply, putting yourself in a bubble. You're aware of it, but you're not absorbing it. And I think that's a very important point to make on this as well. Because obviously, if you're absorbing these energies, then that can dim your light, dim your vibration. And again, it's taking you away from your true authenticity. Also, there's people in our lives, friends, family, associates, work colleagues. Again, we've all, and I'm not judging by saying this, we've all met people along the way and have associations with people that go through tough times. And we've all been through them ourselves. So we can all know we all know what it feels like to be down in the dumps and to feel at a low ebb. And so sometimes we empathize, and when we empathize with people and show that kindness, which is beautiful, and I encourage that. However, I don't encourage people to, again, absorb other people's vibration, because this is where it can get messy, where your true authenticity is either diluted or your vibration is being pulled down. How many times have we been in the company with people? When we meet up with them, we're full of beans, we're so happy, we're so positive, and within maybe 10, 15 minutes of the conversation, all of a sudden, we start to feel very tired, very drained, and our physicality starts to feel very heavy, and we get an achy feeling. This is because we're being zapped and our energy is being pulled from us and it's being diluted, our true authenticity, because we're either healing and empowering those individuals by just holding space for them and being in that particular space with them, that they're zapping our energy, so to speak. And they walk away feeling great, empowered, full of beans, full of life, where we walk away feeling drained, lethargic, and unmotivated. I would say to remedy this situation, obviously, you trust your vibration, your intuition, who and what you hang around with. And then that will help you. If you do find that you have to engage in conversation and mingle with people of this vibration, then of course, this is where you need to explore energetic protection. And you are also taking charge of your time and energy. So yes, you'll have the interactions, but you limit the time and energy and attention that you give to these particular parties involved. And that's not to sound mean or, unpleasant. This is obviously, we're looking after our own vibration. We're setting vibrational, I would say, boundaries around ourselves in order so that we can thrive, we can shine our true authentic self. Now, sometimes it can look cold and calculating, but it is not at all. I mean, you can send these individuals love, you can send them the greatest and highest positive vibrations and intentions, and you can let them know that you're there for them. Of course you can. But, you must, I would say, have some sort of boundary in place, a cut-off point, because after all, we have to function in this world as well. And it's hard to do that when you're being drained and left feeling lethargic and maybe lower vibrationally than you were originally. So just pay attention to these elements, because they all add up, they all stack up, and they can all have an impact on your light body and your vibration. So by being mindful of these elements and showing, I would say, maintenance of each one of these facets, then you can maintain that beautiful, authentic vibration of yours. I also want to say that to trust your true, authentic self. And what I mean by this is, how many times have we been placed in a situation where we're scratching our head and seeds of doubt have been planted in our mind? We're second-guessing ourselves. We're listening to the hearsay. We're investing our vibration on what other people are saying and what other people are suggesting, to the point where we don't trust the thoughts and we don't trust our true calling, our true purpose, and also our true authenticity. It leaves us questioning things. So with me saying this, I want to encourage you to stay resilient and to check in with yourself. Check in with yourself vibrationally, where you're feeling. When there's a situation in your life, I would say feel into the situation. Yes, it's all right to analyze it in your mind, but so long as you don't allow those dominating thoughts take hold and take you away from your true authenticity. So feel into situations, feel that feel-good factor. If something feels great, you feel expansive, you feel excited, feel adventurous, and there's no stopping you. There's no roadblocks in the way. You just want to go for it. That is great. So follow that. If you feel, I would say, restricted, you feel like things are being placed in front of you, obstacles, every other step, then this is where I would say, maybe you need to check in a little bit more with your authenticity. You can question it further. Why am I feeling this? Is this situation right for me? And they talk about a muscle test. so maybe look into doing that as well. But trust your true authenticity. You already know the answers, so stop looking externally for them. Go inwardly, feel into a situation, and then you will truly know. I'd also like to recommend that you stay positive. It's easier said than done, I know. I've been in many situations in my life where I've had to really, really dig deep in order to stay afloat. So I know how difficult it can be, but you have a choice in any one given moment to either sink or swim. So it's time for you to take that responsibility. And in order to do this, I would certainly recommend that setting intentions is a great tool that you can use on a daily basis, before your feet even touch the floor. And the way that you do this is by saying, I am grateful, I am happy, I am abundant, I am love, I am light, I am a beautiful vibrational alignment to positive and abundant energy, or words to that effect. You can make your own and create your own up depending upon what you're vibing with at that moment in time. But yes, to remain positive, always, as the song suggests, look on the bright side of life. And I won't recount any other lyrics to that for obvious reasons. But anyway, remain buoyant, remain positive. And this will also help your vibration, your light body, to keep on shining brighter and brighter and holding that radiance. Now, I wanted to turn this conversation round slightly, because your light, your energy body, your vibration, it also is a beacon of light, a beacon of truth to the world of spirit and energy as well. They can detect your light, your energy, perhaps before any living soul can. With this being the case, it enables you to connect with spirit very, very efficiently and beautifully. And I've had many occasions with doing this, as you know, but one of those recent occasions was, if you know or if you don't know, this year I have been filming a TV show with one of my colleagues, and in fact co-host on this very show, Christina Bloom. And in order for us to do that, the show is about spirit, energy, vortexes, portals, you name it, the fae, fairies, gnomes, anything energetic. It's about that basically. So what we had to do in many respects is check on one another's vibration on a daily basis to keep that vibration, that light emitting, bright as possible. We also had to expand our energy and consciousness and shine our light. And there were some locations that had, I would say, like dark vibrations there and dark energies. And we had to sift through that. We had to work through that and remain positive, remain bright, remain light as well. And we did this also by intentions, as I've mentioned earlier, and also expanding our light, making it shine brighter. And as you know, when things are bright like that, it forms a state of attraction, doesn't it? Like a moth to a flame sort of scenario. And with this being the case, it was no exception with the spirits that we were getting involved with in these locations. We set the intention, we introduced ourselves, and we called out. And we were very fortunate enough that the spirit in these locations were drawn magnetically to our vibration. And in many cases and in many locations, these beautiful souls were wanting to come and communicate with us and chat and share their story and listen to ours. And it was a beautiful interaction. And this was all because, like I say, we'd managed our vibration doing the things I've just been describing to you in the beginning of this episode, and we continue to maintain it. And what I mean by this, obviously, when we're visiting different locations, there's certain areas, like I say, that are of a low vibration, whether this is to do with the ley lines, the land, the historic qualities, or even the vibration of the inhabitants that are located in that area. So we had to be mindful if our vibration was being tampered with or lowered or manipulated in some way, that it was taking us away from our true authenticity. And so it was very good that we was looking out for one another in this respect. There was one occasion where we had to do a little bit of healing in order to remove an attachment. And there was one occasion where we had to remain very, very focused, dialed in, and very positive. Because of our vibration was emitting this light, we was at one location that was very, very busy with tourists and people there, to the point where if we weren't dialed in to that particular location, we would have got bombarded with those people's spirit guides, their loved ones, their family members, and would have been pulling forward that information rather than the information coming from the location, the land, and where it is situated and the history of the land. So we had to be very, very focused on some of these locations. But I would say a lot of this was why we got the interactions that we did, was because we were setting these intentions. We looked after our vibration. We were a vibrational match with one another. We both complemented the way that we both worked. And in fact, we were mentioning it many, many times. We were finding that our collective vibration was heightening one another's vibration. You know, that blend, that mix of energies. We seem to have gone up a gear, so to speak, with having this interaction with one another in person, and then with working with energy, with ley lines, with spirit, with the fae. It just seemed to heighten us. So we both experienced that, and it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. But I want to say, expanding your light, everybody can do this. Everybody has the ability to do this. And it's simply by using your imagination, visualizing. So if you can visualize maybe a light, a small light in your mind's eye, and imagine that light expanding, getting brighter, getting wider, getting brighter and wider until it is engulfing all pockets of darkness. And you can do that in your imagination. And when you get into doing that and practice the craft of doing that, this is where it has an impact on your light body, your vibration. And in fact, as I've just said, you will attract spirit beings, other energy. They're naturally drawn to you for various reasons. They feel into the vibration of your aura. And, you know, if you're a good, kind-hearted, loving soul, they will pick that up. Also, some spirits mistake your light, your vibration, depending on how bright you are emanating, as a way out, a portal, a vortex of some description. So they see you as maybe a guiding light, as some help. And in many respects, you are, because when you connect with spirit and you're respectful and you listen to their stories, you are there for that bridge of light to help them ascend and grow on their spiritual journey, if they so choose to do so. But it is their choice. You can't force them to go. It has to be their choice. Anyway, going slightly off topic. But anyway, what I want to say is just mention again about spirit can connect and read your aura. They can tell whether you're a good-hearted soul. They can tell what sort of personality you have, what you like, what you don't like, whether it will be easy for them to communicate with you and blend their energy to tell their story. They can pick all of that up. But having said that, recently I've witnessed this, and I've had this a few times, but it was drawn to my attention the other week upon doing a paranormal event. And this was where the spirits in that location were saying, okay, it's lovely to meet you. Yes, we'd like to talk to you. Yeah, my name is so-and-so. But then they would say, why do you want to know all of this? And so, I explained that we were curious, and if we could help them, we would surely do that. And they said, well, we'd like to know a little bit about you. And I was saying, well, from my understanding, you can tap into our auras, feeling to our vibration, and you can understand us on a spiritual, mental, emotional, physical level just by doing that. And they said, but no, we want to hear it from you. We want you to express yourself. And so upon doing this, what we were finding is that when you meet spirit halfway and you go 50-50, you share a little bit of yourself, introducing yourself, tell them about you, they will introduce more of themselves. And it's this beautiful balance and respect that will get you some fabulous results when you're on a paranormal investigation or an event. And so I thought I'd share that with you because, I have had this happen many, many times. But, when it's right in your face and when spirits say that to you directly, not many of them do, but when they do, it just brings it home a little bit more. That, well, actually, yeah, you're quite right. It is a conversation that we're having. And why should it be unbalanced? Why should it be one-sided? Can you tell me your name? Where you're from? How did you die? That's a lot, isn't it? That's one-sided. When if you make it 50-50, it has more flow. You can capitalize on that energy. Both parties can, and it makes it easier for those connections to take place. So I thought I would share that with you. I also want to say, with your light being bright, shining and magnetizing and blending out there, it obviously you are in a heightened state of awareness. You're magnetic, and you become ultra sensitive. And with being ultra sensitive, you have to be very mindful. I was mentioning this earlier about you picking up on other people's energy, their vibration, their thoughts, their emotions, their situations. These are empathic abilities that we're describing and talking about. So with this being the case, what you will need to do is be aware of what is your vibration, your thoughts, your energy, and what is other people's thoughts, emotions, and vibration. And the way that you do this, I've mentioned this again many times, and it is a very important part of the process of working with your sensitivity, whether you're a medium or whether you're just highly sensitive. And this is the baseline check. So make a point of assessing where you're at mentally, emotionally, physically, and then you can understand that anything other than those things that you're observing in that moment will be information that isn't yours. And this is where you need to question and analyze it a little bit further. Why am I feeling that? I felt great this morning, and all of a sudden my energy's changed. And then you can say, well, who have I been round? Where have I been? And then you can be a spiritual detective, if you like, and start to understand where you've picked up this energy. It can be quite interesting when you dive a little bit deeper with some of these interactions. That is definitely for sure. But yeah, this ultra sensitive connection that you will have, yeah, definitely you'll pick up on places, spaces, animals, behavior, objects. The list can go on. I mean, a lot of you, many times, I'm sure you'll agree with me on this one, where you've walked into a room, you've never been in that room before, and all of a sudden you feel like uncomfortable in it. Something's happened in here. Maybe 5 minutes before you entered that room, somebody was having a very aggressive verbal argument with one another. And even though those individuals have left that room, that energy is still fully active and charged in that vicinity. And you walk in and you pick it up, and it makes you feel uncomfortable. That's just one example. But, you'll notice that when your light body is maintained and it's vibrating very high, you'll pick up on all of these subtleties that you weren't necessarily giving time and attention to prior to observing your vibration. I also want to talk about that with this being the case, your vibration heightening and your light introduces you. What some of you may find is that your vibration, your light, your energy, it can be too much for some people. They may feel uncomfortable in your vibration, in your presence, in your energy. Don't take offense. That would be my first piece of advice. Because what is actually happening here is your light, your energy, anything that does not match that vibration, it will shine light upon it to extract any old belief systems, any fears, any negative cords of attachment, any emotions that people have kept buried within themselves, any thoughts of a subconscious nature that people have kept buried within themselves and they haven't dealt with them. They've just kept calm and carry on. These emotions, thoughts, feelings will come to the surface in these individuals. And I'm not judging because we have all been there, myself included. And the way that you get out of those situations is you have to go within. You have to process them. You have to analyze them. You have to experience those feelings in order to release them and do the inner work. And again, I'm not judging. Some people aren't aware that you have to do that. Some people don't want to face them. Some people just want to carry on and move on to the next chapter. And my personal experience is that if you don't understand the lesson, then the lesson will keep coming back. So it is to serve you actually to go within, process these emotions, these thoughts, and allow that healing to unfold. But nevertheless, getting back onto the conversation, like I was saying, your light can be too much for some people, and this is because it triggers all of that old vibration, those old emotions that they haven't processed, and it will rise to the surface. And it is within that sensation, that experience of those thoughts, of those emotions coming to the surface to be recognized so they can be healed, the individual feels uncomfortable, irritable. They feel very frustrated. Sometimes they may get angry or aggressive because of these things coming up to the surface. Now, they may lash out at you in this situation. They may say hurtful things towards you. They may even start to block you, ignore you. I believe some people call it, what's the modern term, ghosting. How ironic is that? Ghosting, some people may do that, block your comments, not connect with you anymore. Do not take any offense to this. Like I say, your vibration is triggering them and causing them to feel these unpleasant emotions that perhaps that have been left unhealed within them. All you can do as a light worker is to send them that unconditional love, that gratitude and that healing with non-attachment from yourself. Just send it, let it go, and trust that the universe is going to do its thing and it's going to help them to the best degree it can under their circumstances, and just let it go and continue to walk on your path, regardless of maybe losing these connections with people, these friendships, these relationships. Keep on walking. Keep on being your true, authentic self, because the more that you spread that light and that love and that positivity, the more light that you are creating on this planet. You're helping other people to come to terms with themselves, to do that inner healing, to process that, do that work. And again, it's like passing on a baton. And when you pass on that baton of light, it spreads and it heightens the communities, and then so on and so forth. So keep on walking and trust the process. It takes a brave soul, having gone through all of that, I would say, judgment, feeling chastised, losing friendships. You'll spend quite a few long periods of time in your own company. And for some of you, this can be very uncomfortable. But when you show love and respect and kindness to yourself, it becomes one of the greatest love stories that you'll ever go through in your life. And so by showing yourself that love, respect, and setting healthy boundaries around yourself, what you will find is it will help you. It will help you in the long run to be that light worker that you were truly here to be. I also want to say, stay in a state of being playful and curious. Just like a cat or a child, if you've ever observed a child or a cat, they want to know, excuse me, they want to know what's happening. They want to look in every nook and cranny. They're very curious, aren't they? They're very excited about learning something new, experiencing something new. And I want to encourage you all to do the same, simply because with that curiosity, with that playfulness, it is in turn going to heighten your vibration even more. And obviously, when we learn new things, it puts us into that vibration of expansion, positive expansion. And like we were saying, this can have a positive impact on the people that are around you, because that light emanates and it spreads and it helps and it heals. Now, this is something else I want to just quickly go over, and I want to encourage you all to open up more. Because let's face it, if you've gone through some of these things that I've described, where you've been ghosted, you've been shunned, you've lost friends, relationships, and where you haven't done anything, only being your true authentic self, you've been positive, you've been kind, you've been helpful, sometimes it's difficult to open up because you feel that the same thing is going to happen to you again. Obviously, that's not necessarily the case, though. By opening up and letting people in, whether these people are in the world of spirit or whether these people are on the physical sense of the term, on the earth plane there, what you will notice is there will be this beautiful exchange of energy. Again, there's a flow state. Your vibration heightens, the vibration of those heightens around you because they feel safe in your company, they feel aligned. And this is where you meet your soul tribes at this point, where you're comfortable to open up and share your wisdom, share your stories, allow yourself to be vulnerable emotionally. And this is where people are going to meet you where you are at. And it's a beautiful feeling when you're meeting your soul tribe and you align and get where they're coming from. And there's this beautiful feeling of celebration and accomplishment and just encouragement. It's an amazing, blessed feeling. So do have the courage to open up and let people in. Let them get to know you, the true, authentic you. Maybe there's a part of yourself, your true authenticity, that you've kept hidden for many years because of feeling judged, because of having the finger pointed at you, because maybe of being ridiculed. And this is why you've kept yourself small, hidden in the background and not stepped forward. I want to say that now times and tables are turning, and it's now time for you to express your true, authentic self. After all, the world needs you right now. We need this positivity. We need this love. We need this light. And we need people like your good selves to lead the way and to show people that it is safe to be your true, authentic self. It is empowering. It is healing. This is how new worlds are created. This is how we're going to turn the narrative around, what we've all been living through and experiencing. This is how we shift vibrations. This is how we help and how we heal. So if anything that you can take from this episode today, it is for you to be your truth, live your truth, speak your truth, feel your truth, and express your truth. because your vibration is here for a reason, and it's here to help, heal, guide, inspire, and also empower. We're now going to move into the next segment of the show, which is this week's channeling from the world of spirit, which sees me becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their wisdoms and communications through. But slightly ahead of doing this, I'd just like to check in with you all and see how you're doing, if you've had a wonderful week. And if you're in the UK, you've survived these incredible hot temperatures. It has been overwhelming. I'm sure you'll agree, those of you that live in the UK. But I've had a lovely week, in fact, lovely interactions with spirit, and I've been working rather diligently 7 days a week this past week or so. And there doesn't seem to be enough hours in the day for me at the moment. I've got that many projects on the go, clients to fulfill, teaching, creating my third book as well. And then there's all the online media content and uploading that and keeping ahead of the pack with that. So there's never a dull moment in my world. And so I've been doing all of that. And also I would like to spend some time maybe out in nature if I get the opportunity. I know over the up and coming weeks that might be a possibility. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to reach into grounding, as I feel as though it is a very important part of our lives as a human species, to reconnect with nature, because let's face it, nature is one step ahead of the game in terms of connectivity, and they have a brilliant sense of feeling vibrations and reading energy. And one of those examples I can give you is when we see cows lying down in a field. And usually this is a sign that they feel something in the atmosphere, in the vibration, that there's going to be a storm, it's going to rain or something like that. And so they all feel that, and then they prepare themselves for that moment. Another example would be watching flocks of birds do the same. When they move out of an area and there's a massive amount of birds, and for a human, you see all these flying ahead and you're like, what the heck is going off here? This is so random. And, they pick up on energy. They may be feeling the electromagnetic pulses in the atmosphere, or, the vibration of the land there, and they just feel that they have to get out of it because it's no longer comfortable for them. The reason why I'm just bringing this up, and I know I've gone off topic slightly, is maybe to encourage you all to look within those natural urges, those instincts within yourself, where you're picking up on these energies in connection with Mother Nature, and maybe the people that you surround yourself, the time that you give to other people, and just connect in with it, feel into life more. That is my point with this little rant in this section there. So feel into life, trust, go with the flow. Everything's working out beautifully for you. So now we're going to move into the next segment of the show, which is, as I say, the channeled section. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the teachings and the wisdoms from the world of spirit. Enjoy. We'd like to thank you for listening to every transmission that we bring through. We understand that a different communicator comes through every week, and this is part of the ultimate collective vibration. We're part of that ultimate collective of vibration, and we feel honored to come through. We'd like to talk about endings and beginnings. Now, as you know, everything has a time and a place, and most of you will be experiencing a time of change and upheaval within your life, to the point where you're having to take time out of your busy schedule in order to reflect and look back upon your life, and look back upon the key points within your life with a different perspective, a perspective of forgiveness, a perspective of love and appreciation and healing and gratitude. And when you go through these emotional states and these visualizations referring back to moments on your timeline within your life, it is only then that you begin to make peace with who you are as a person and how far you've come on your journey, on your pathway. It's a very rewarding, very fruitful and forgiving experience when you feel the need to
take time out of your busy schedule within your life, and you'll know that it's the right time, because there will be gaps that will appear in your life to enable you to have this time that is influenced by your higher self and your spirit team, to take time out aside and do this inner work, this inner life review, whilst you're still in your physical body. You see, you don't have to be in the world of spirit, not necessarily in order to do your life review. Once you appreciate the fractals and the elements within your life path, wherever you happen to be on your life's journey, like we say, showing that level of gratitude and understanding of that situation, and recognizing that that was part of your evolvement within your timeline to enable you to get to the next level of your journey. Without these little stepping stones on your pathway, none of this would have been possible. So when you go into this moment of a life review, it is a form of meditation where you find yourself just sitting, lying, or relaxing in the calm and peace and tranquility of the silence, a bit like a meditation state. And you will find that these images, these recollections from your past, will be coming forward in front of your third eye. You'll also experience the emotions that you felt during that period in your life, and also as you're reviewing the situation, you'll feel the emotions of you experience that as a viewer, as an observer, which is rather a peculiar thing for you to involve yourself in, particularly when you are in your physical body and you're doing this, shall we say, living a life review. However, it is very fruitful indeed, because, as we say, you begin to show that level of love and compassion and gratitude for all of those experiences and key markers within your timeline, within your life. Also the characters and the people that were involved in your life to help you ascend to the degree and the person that you are today. At one time you would have maybe chastised these individuals, maybe have felt that they wronged you in some way, but in fact now, with you doing this living life review, you're going to see things far more differently. The fact that they were key markers within your life that helped you flourish and grow, and without their involvement, which is, when you see it from this perspective, their sacrifice with their time, with their emotions, with their energies, without any of that, you wouldn't be where you are at within your life on your timeline at this very moment. So most of you will be finding yourself feeling inspired to go through this evolutionary state of being, as we call it, the living life review. So when you feel that urge to get away from it all, to have that time in self-reflection, you could be finding that you're in this meditation-like quietness, stillness state of being for at least an hour, and that hour whilst you're doing this will seem literally like 10 minutes of your earthly time. However, the amount of healing and evolution and good that you'll be doing within that hour will be far beyond your imagination. So what we're simply saying to you is just to go with this vibrational pull and energy, and you'll find it very fruitful in the next phase of your life. As we say, we're talking about endings and beginnings. Well, this is one thing that you need to consider if you're wanting to go into the next phase of your life, particularly a phase where you're going to be blessed with the fruits of your labors, where you're going to be blessed with abundance and love, plentiful. Then you have to make peace with your past, and you have to make peace with yourself in your past. Many of you may recognize different versions upon yourself, on your timeline, and when you reconsider and evaluate who you were in that particular timeline within your life, you won't recognize that individual to the individual that you are today. And to some of you, it may come as a surprise, then you will not. You'll be a little bit perplexed of how could you be that way, and why was I thinking those things, and why did I behave in such a manner? When, instead of judging, you accept it for what it is and understand that that is part of your pathway, your evolution, and look how far you have come as a point of reference of allowing those things to unfold in your life. So do not judge yourself or chastise yourself in this situation. In fact, if anything, you've simply followed your bliss. You've followed that alignment. Many of you will, after reviewing your life, in your living life review, will think to yourself, well, why did I make that decision? And you'll place yourself back in your, shall we say, your consciousness in that period or phase of your life, trying to assess why you made that particular choice in your life. And what you've come to the conclusion is that you were simply following your intuition. You had a feeling, an unmistakable, unshakable feeling that that's what you had to do in that moment in time. And quite rightly so, it was correct for you. If you were to make those decisions in your now conscious reality, then of course that would not align with you, and it will seem very infantile to make those poor choices. But you see, back in your timeline, it was an evolutional state of rebellion in order for you to flourish in your future self, which is your now self, which is the point of reference we are referring to. So you see, endings and beginnings, in order to move into the next state, we would certainly recommend, when you feel that draw, when you feel that pull, a state that you will feel compelled to go through, and you will notice that your sensitivity will be increased tenfold. Your ability to manifest and magnetically draw the things in alignment with your life with ease and grace will be amplified. And many of you will be pinching yourself, asking you the question, well, why is this happening? Why didn't this happen years ago? And our answer to that question is simply, we're not ready. The timeline wasn't right, but now it is. So embrace it as you did in your previous areas of your lifetime, and you embrace the moments. We say to you, embrace these new moments of prosperity, of beauty, of magnetic high vibrational alignment, and simply follow that inspiration as you're doing so. We understand that many of you that are listening to this topic of conversation may sound a little bit peculiar and unusual for us to come out and talk to you about. However, there'll be a lot of you that are listening and aligning with this information will find it absolutely paramount and very useful upon your pathway, particularly where you're at when you're hearing this transmission. So thank you for listening, and be gentle and kind with yourself as you go through this level of up-shifting, up-leveling in your living life review. We're now going to pass you over to another communicator who wishes to bring forward some information for you. All right, yeah, I hope you don't mind me coming through. It's been a while since I've popped by, isn't it? Yeah, anyway, following on from a previous communicator, yeah, this is something that, as they say, he was calling it a living life review. Now, as you're aware, you'll go through a phase when you make your transition into the world of light, into the world of spirit, where you'll do a life review again, and you'll have an understanding of your soul, where it is upon its pathway, and why you've had to go through the things in your life in order to get you where you are in your spirit body. This will include going back to previous incarnations and seeing their relevance and seeing their understanding on what influenced your soul and what made you choose a path of least resistance on your living life journey in all directions of time, in all, shall we say, universes, because you are multiple dimensional beings. As we've said many a time before on these transmissions, not only are you living the life that you particularly focus on within your earthly time, but also you have several, it's hard to calculate, you have thousands upon thousands of versions of yourself carrying out other choices, other variables of your life in your, shall we say, timeline all at the same time. It's far too complex for us to try and describe in this transmission. But our point in bringing this to your attention today is that this living life review will actually bring you clarity and understanding of where you're at in your life. And when you have that clarity and level of understanding, also forgiveness and peace in your heart and in your mind, then it will give you that opportunity to focus on your now moments, which in turn will help you to observe the decisions that you have to make, and you'll make more just decisions that are more in alignment with your life's calling. So that is the point of the living life review. The other review that we speak of when you make your transition into the world of spirit, into the world of light, goes more in depth, because you'll experience all those emotions and feelings and viewpoints of all those individuals that have had an impact in your life story. Also, you'll experience previous incarnations in your other timelines within your life, galactically speaking, and you'll get the bigger picture. But for now, that's what we want to tell you about. So we encourage you at any given one moment to take some time out of your busy lifestyle in order to reflect. Reflection is always swept under the carpet from what we observe you as humans. And it's a very integral, important part of your evolution. So we employ a lot of you to take this time out. It is a solo journey, so you'll find yourself taking yourself away from others in order to get this clarity and perspective, so that you'll be glad that you did. Rest assured, things will be on the up. Things will be working out better for you once you do this. So thank you for listening. We bid you a farewell, and we look forward to communicating with you in the near future. Bye for now, and God bless.
As always, what a fantastic communication there from the world of spirit. Interesting to hear them talk about endings and beginnings as we are entering the month of July in this year of 2025. Also, nice to hear, don't resist the changes that are here to serve you. And many of us maybe contemplate these things and think, well, why is that happening to me? Oh, that's not fair. But actually, take a step outside of the box and see the bigger picture, and you'll come to the conclusion, maybe eventually, that these things are here to serve you for your highest purpose, your highest good. Also, lowering your guard so that you can do the inner reflective work, and you can find that clarity and healing within that process. Now, only you can do this. Nobody can do it for you. And there'll be a time where you feel ready to do it. The universe will provide that space in your life so that you can do this work and maybe review some of those choices that you've made in your life and see actually the potential, why you made those choices and why you had to experience those things there. Nice also making peace with who you are. As I'm sure many of you listening to this are, at loggerheads with yourself, maybe some of the choices you've made in the past, maybe the choices that you are or not making at the moment. And it can lead you to vast periods of time in frustration. So instead of being in that frustration, make peace with who you are. Acceptance is key to moving into this new timeline. And also taking time out when you can. This will serve you on your path. It will rejuvenate your vibrations. It will allow you to see the bigger picture, because when you slow down, you begin to see all the pieces of the puzzle and why they're there and why they are here to serve you. So it's very important that you should do that, I feel, anyway. And obviously, Spirit, the communicators, feel the same way as well. Also, your sensitivity will increase as a result of making these subtle changes in your life. And with this, you will be magnified to certain people, projects, events, places, and just be aware of your taste changing as your sensitivity increases once you've done that deep dive and that healing work. And also, it's going to bring in, literally magnetize, increased opportunities that will find you rather than you going out chasing and pushing and striving to obtain. These things will come to you when you do that inner work, that deep dive, and you again see the bigger picture. And that way you're not having any roadblocks in the way as well. And also, I always find this bit fascinating, the different soul fractals that are all experiencing all the choices that we have or maybe haven't made in our lives. These parts of our soul continue to exist and live out those facets. And that's just mind-bending in itself, isn't it? So next we're going to move on to this week's forecast reading. So sit back, relax, take a few notes if you wish to do so, and enjoy this week's forecast reading from the world of spirit. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice and I'm a spiritual medium, and welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for the week commencing Monday the 7th of July 2025. Now, those of you that watched me work before will know that I connect with my spirit guides and helpers and also consult the wisdom of the angel tarot card. So what I'm about to do, shuffle the pack and bring a card forward for this week's forecast reading. So here's your card for this week. I'm now going to link into the vibration. First of all, I'm being told don't put yourself under pressure this week. You're going through a phenomenal amount of change and you're moving into a new chapter. And this new chapter, as it unfolds, reveals everything that you've desired coming into your life. Now, don't be in your old vibration of lack and worry and just feeling really overwhelmed. You need to embrace these opportunities as they enter your life. And I feel as though they're going to come in incremental steps. So be aware of that. Also, I'm feeling as well this week that you're going to be in cahoots with family members. You're going to be in conversations with them, maybe some heart-to-heart conversations, some truths coming to the surface. But it feels like a resolve, a good outcome is coming from this. And so watch out for that. I've also got to say, be aware of your tummy, your stomach area there, being extra sensitive this week where foods are concerned. I feel that some people call it a dicky tummy, where it's slightly upset. This is the end of the free version of the weekly forecast reading. If you would like to see the entirety of this week's forecast reading, then you can do that by subscribing. And as a subscriber, what you will receive is the full version of the weekly forecast reading. You will also receive the audio for the weekly radio show, and also you'll receive 10% off all of my spiritual services there. So this includes all of the readings there for you to benefit from. And also you will receive new updates and information and news of what's happening with myself and the services that I provide, and also the events that I take part in. You'll hear all about that ahead of everybody else. And this is because you're a subscriber to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium. So you can find a link either above or below this video, where by clicking on the link, you can then become a subscriber to reap all of the benefits that I've described to you. So I look forward to having you on this journey with me as a Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium subscriber. Thank you for taking time to watch this video and supporting the work that Spirit and myself work together in doing so. Thank you for listening to this week's show. I hope you've enjoyed it, all the content and the information from Spirit. If you would like to pose a question to the show or get in touch, contact me at www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, and it'd be wonderful to hear from you. Have a fabulous week, everybody. God bless. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products and services Glenn provides, go to Glenn Boddice spiritual medium.